Hello, I'm Aisha Yousafzai. I'm an Associate Professor of Global Health at the Harvard T.H. Chan School of Public Health here in the United States. My research focuses on developing and evaluating interventions that support young children's development. My work is informed by real-world contexts and trying to understand how the effective use of evidence can support practice.
Hello, I'm Pia Rebello Brito. I'm the UNICEF country representative for the People's Democratic Republic of Laos, formerly the Global Chief for Early Childhood Development. UNICEF works to uphold the rights of all children, especially the most vulnerable, to give them the best start in life. Our experience over 190 countries spans the greatest diversity in communities from war-torn areas, scattered highlands, peri-urban settlements to high-income neighborhoods to inform innovations in practice, policies, and programs. We want to ensure that we learn about what works in different contexts so we can share good practices to improve programming and deliver results for all children and families.
Let's begin with the basics. Early childhood development, or ECD for short, encompasses a child's cognitive, language, social, emotional, and motor development. Research has found that an estimated 250 million children are not meeting their developmental potential in the first 5 years of life. The risks that threaten children's development include poverty, malnutrition, infectious illnesses, stress in families, violence, inadequate care and protection, and a lack of early learning opportunities. Without interventions, these early risks have lifelong implications on health, on behavior, and productivity. We also know that early childhood is a critical window of opportunity when children are particularly sensitive to experiences that promote development. This is why interventions targeting this age are so important. In the last 30 years, we have learned a great deal about what types of interventions work to support early childhood development. However, we have been less successful in replicating and scaling up these interventions in different contexts around the world to reach the large numbers of children who need these services.
Over the last 3 decades, we have also amassed evidence that there are multiple risks across a complexity of factors that threaten children's development, and therefore single sector interventions alone, while necessary, are not sufficient to promote their ability to thrive. Nurturing care is the provision of stable, emotionally supportive environment that protects children from the threats and provides them with responsive, developmentally stimulating opportunities for healthy development, learning, and interaction. It is provided by the child's parents, family, caregivers, teachers, and community. In the immediate home, childcare settings, pre-primary classrooms, and beyond. So a coordinated response means we must ensure that every child receives all of the services they need and that their families and caregivers have resources and support to care for them. It also means teachers and carers have the tools and capacities to foster early development and learning. That communities are empowered to advocate for the needs of young children, and families and governments are accountable to their youngest citizens. While there has been increased global and national funding and policy commitments to early childhood in the recent years, few effective interventions promoting early childhood development have achieved scale. a greater emphasis on implementation, research, and practice is necessary to inform evidence and knowledge for effective, sustainable, and high quality early childhood interventions that can be delivered at scale.
The aim of this course is to provide you with the tools to design, innovate, and adapt implementation strategies to your own context and systems. Over 6 modules, we will explore current evidence and best practices for effective interventions, how these interventions can be supported by systems, how we can evaluate if they are working, and challenges we will need to consider in our programs and research that the next generation of children will face. We'll use a case-based method of learning, as well as interactive activities to dive deeper into various types of nurturing care interventions. By the end of the course, you should understand the state of the science on effective interventions for ECD and be able to critically evaluate current ECD implementation strategies. We hope you take what you learn in this class and apply it to supporting caregivers and children in your own settings so children receive the nurturing care, learning, and protection they need.
We are launching this course in a challenging and unprecedented time as the world faces the COVID-19 pandemic. Far too many children around the world were already growing up in adversity. In 2019, globally, an estimated 386 million children were living in extreme poverty. In 2016, a global survey reported 1 billion children between the ages of 2 and 17 years had experienced abuse in the past year. In 2015, UNICEF reported 1 in 8 children were born in a situation of conflict and humanitarian crisis. The COVID-19 pandemic has put children at further risk, with disruptions of services and an economic crisis. So throughout the course, we will discuss ways in which this pandemic has affected our case study programs and how these programs have addressed the challenges to continue to achieve results for young children and families.
In this first module, we'll hear from experts about the importance of investing in early childhood, with perspectives from neuroscience to economics, to child rights, inclusion and equity, to political championship. We'll ask you to reflect on threats and protective factors to early childhood development in your context, and set short and long-term goals for your program of interest. We will summarize the types of interventions that can support ECD. Finally, we'll introduce a framework for implementation of services in systems that support taking interventions to scale in different contexts. At the beginning and at the end of the course, we'll ask you to reflect on how the framework applies to the programs you are implementing or the programs that you hope to implement.